Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now taking orders on our Q4 2024 circuit kits, and to our guest lecturer members, Vite Ramen and Casey Madden. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will and a long weekend of the server being on fire because ban lists happened to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours featuring myself, TMO73, and I'm joined as always by Paul Reisman.
I've been reading so many edits and erratas and ban list, and Mike's here.
That's why his hair's crazy. And Mike Rant's finally putting up some foul swag in his office.
I haven't read a single one of these erratas in any meaningful way.
Let's go. So we are going to be
too busy making history videos, baby. Let's go.
Deepwood Force of Will is back. Deepwood Force of Will is back on the content train. We love to see it. So we have a lot to talk about. Before we get started, I do want to say that you still have the opportunity to pick up orders for the ABC decks. Last time I checked through Odyssey Games, and I think they still probably have boxes of the new set up on their website. If not, check back in a little bit, because usually once the locals have picked up local boxes, Odyssey will put more boxes online. And man, this set's a banger, so like well worth your time, I think. Also, December 21st and 22nd, you can click the link in the description to go buy your ticket for the Discord December Q4 Circuit Kit event, which is, ta-da, Wuxia Wu in a power suit is the mat for that one. We have the Uberized version available for the champion of the
Monochrome
event.
baby.
Monochrome baby with a bright yellow forklift certified hard hat.
Forklift certification acquired.
And just as a reminder, FowFest, the first weekend of June in 2025, is officially now Force of Will Festival and GP, with 3 invites to Worlds, including a paid invite to first place if we break 70 players. So, you know, I'm just saying, you might want to come to Kalamazoo in January or in June of
Kalamazoo, zoo.
If I don't see Mike Rance there, I'm gonna riot. So,
yeah.
We're great.
Mike's not coming, is he?
We'll do the podcast live. We'll do the podcast live if Mike shows up. It'll be great.
Fuck, we're doing it live
in person, all 3 of us in the same space.
That'd be so sick.
Hand
actually.
mics.
Yeah, with hand mic. Yeah, we'll do the classic like hand mics. Mailbag episode.
Oh my god, that'd be so sick.
Mailbag.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so big ban list happened. A lot of cards came off the ban list, primarily because of interactions, because of the ABC deck erratas, which we talked about last week, but we'll go over them again because we have like the official website piece for them. And then some cards got added to the ban list that were most of the things that honestly we had kind of talked about, but like not either directly hit or like tangentially hit, except for Mask. Mask remained untouched, which was a spot of hot contention over the course of the weekend. But we're going to go into it and kind of talk about some of the things that happened. So, and Mike's going to learn these live.
I'm learning.
So, starting off on the ban list, we got Almerius and Moonstart joining their fellow 6 Sage brothers, every single one of them except 0 going through the reworking protocol at some point in time, which
who could have guessed?
Which honestly, I was a little bit surprised that Moonstart was going to get hit here. Almerius, I'm not surprised by at all. Moonstart, I felt like, especially because on the ABC language, they already kind of clarified, they cleaned up her language in the ABC deck on her front side. So for me, I was like, I learned about that, and that kind of thought that they were going to leave Moonstart alone. That being said, Moonstart is currently legal in ABC, but it's like, you just printed her in an ABC starter deck. That probably means that she's going to be left alone. Nope, she's going on the rework protocol.
Yep.
So that's interesting to me. To clarify, for those of you who don't know, her text has been, she previously says, whenever you do Judgment of a Ruler, draw a card. This even tripped up players at Worlds, being like, well, when she performs Judgment, she draws a card. Nope. That is not true. So she got a little bit of a buff clarification, which is that whenever a J ruler enters the field under your control, draw a card. Which honestly is a buff, because then you can start making J ruler tokens and drawing cards with her. But it does clarify that, like, she doesn't draw a card when she flips. It's always, like, other J rulers entering, get her to draw a card. They were just, the reasoning they gave is that these guys were just like the other 6 sages, typically too generic, typically too much value off of these, like, free generic things. So you would just see decks that were just best 40 cards deck with sages tagged in, right? And so they want to give each of the sages a little bit more concrete identity, tune them a little bit better, and so they're going to apply the same things to Almerius and Moonstar. Except for Zero. Zero's fine the way she is. Listen, as someone who constantly complained about tag from its induction, I would think that you would be at the very least mid about this, not necessarily sad about it.
So I'm not sad about the bans. I think these are good bans. I just think tag itself should have been reworking protocoled instead of just having to, like, pinpoint.
So I will say
apart the rulers.
I will say this to that point. Tag was invented before current design team, like before, like, the full introduction of, like, I Spy takeover, right?
I thought it was like tail end, but I might just be remembering.
But like, it was the induction, like from where we are now, right? The beginning of Saga Cluster, like the very start of Saga Cluster, right? And we've had Dual Cluster and Hero Cluster, and now we're in Trinity Cluster. So, like, we've come a far way. And so I have to imagine that there's been some changes or, like, reestablishing of staff, and, like, how much of this was necessarily established right when I Spy was first getting off the ground, right? So to your point, tag at its inception was far too strong. And so now I think that tag since has been, like, predominantly mainly okay. It's just these specific ones, I think, just, like, right out the jump, were just, like, way too overtuned, and we just made tag much better than it needed to be. And so we're going to try to tweak it to bring it in line with what tag kind of feels like now, right? So
I'll just always say, like, you can know tag that was a broken mechanic because each of the 7th rulers had a downside to them,
right,
and were still broken enough to be banned before nearly anything else.
Sure.
I've said my piece with tag. I know what I say. I know I'm screaming into the void at this point.
All good.
It's fine. I am just. We could have just not. It could have been so much cleaner, but we didn't make it cleaner.
For sure.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, valid.
It does feel like, I mean, this is kind of gonna be my opinion a little bit early reveal, but things feel really messy, which says to me there's a lot of stuff going on in the background to try and clean something up. I'm not really sure what that is, but it does seem that, like, right around Alice Origins Saga Cluster, there was a big shift in terms of design philosophy, and then there was another big shift in design philosophy with, like, the end of this past cluster and going into Trinity Cluster. Something's going on.
Yeah.
And
someone mentioned on the ban list video that they viewed this ban list not as the one we wanted, but as the one we needed. It just isn't quite clear exactly why this is what we needed yet. Which, honestly, the more I think about it, and to clean up, to go off your idea of, like, this feels messy, I'm like, I can kind of vibe with that. It's just like,
It definitely feels very much like somebody in the background is scrambling papers together and things are going out. And, like, I understand why, like, obviously the game is in a state of, like, mild misbalance, just, and a little bit of balance, and also a lot of things are banned and they don't want them to be banned, but in order to make them not banned, you have to overcomplicate things, and it's just like there's way too many moving parts is what I've kind of
a lot of tectonic shifts.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure.
Lots
So that
of
idea of
tectonic
it
shift right now.
it being messy, it being not necessarily clean, makes a lot of sense with what we're seeing here. Next up, we have Alice, Zeus Incarnate, and Hunter's Area.
Bye. Bye.
Alice,
Bye. Oh my God.
Zeus Alice,
Bye.
Zeus Alice is gone permanently. Reworking and Hunter's Area has been put on the reworking protocol for similar reasons. And here's the kicker. So Alice, Zeus Incarnate was already a card that was like every single time you brought up the ban list for the past 4 years, it was like, do we ban Zeus Atlas? It's like, maybe not. This next set had a clarifyingly the most busted thing that you've ever been able to do with Zeus Atlas ever. And we were like, well, you have to at least combo ban that. And so instead of it's like, oh, well, you know what? We're actually just going to clean house and say we're never going to have to worry about Zeus Atlas again. And she's gone, which you can still play. You can,
on
at least in Wanderer
committee for 2 formats, and I banned Alice twice. Bye.
Yeah, for sure.
Alice is the worst. You can't design around her.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think Rio said it in the video.
He's like literally something will always be unforeseen, and it was broken, right? Hunter's Area is to a lesser extent. I think there are very easy ways that you could change a card like Hunter's Area, which is by definition, like by standard, infinitely more interactable to like prevent abuse than Alice Zeus Incarnate. But you can make some slight tweaks to Hunter's Area that I think fall in line with the theming of Hunter's Area to prevent even further problems, right? Like it could even be as simple as like the tap choose a race thing is like choose elf or vampire or werewolf, right? Like you get like limited options of what you can change its race to and like solves the problem. And then it's a Christie card or it has some neat implications for elves cards or like those kinds of things. But it's not, they both have the vibe of being like the heart-to-heart talk problem, which is like eventually something's going to come around and break these, right? So
you know what? I'm just really glad that the Hunter's Area is banned, so I don't have to read all that text. I'm not reading that.
Yes.
Either I'm happy for you or sorry that happened. Next.
Talk about mucho texto. They filled that text box.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we got Shark of Solari and Dinner Time. Now, to their point, Dinner Time apparently has been on their watch list for a bit, and I will say that like when people find ways to abuse Dinner Time, it's not necessarily very good, but it is incredibly annoying that they're just like, oh, 3-will. You can use it for judgments and you can do it for other, like we were even using Dinner Time in Brad Killua to be like, what if we just judgmented Brad 3 times? Like with having and like got 3 mana counters and then drew 3 cards. Like there was very silly things you can do. So I get Dinner Time being banned. Shark, their reasoning on the website is awful. I'll say that. They were saying like, well, it's outclassed by the new Ain's Living Armor. And I'm like, well, you've named the right card that is the reason why Shark needs something done against it. But it's not because Shark then becomes bad with Living Armor. Shark becomes too good with Living Armor. Because for those of you who don't know, what you could do with the new Living Armor deck is you could turn 1, reveal Shark, draw 2 cards, right? Draw an extra card for the start of your turn, right? Even if you're going first, you draw 1 card. And then the following turn, you unreveal Shark, reveal Living Armor, who then forces 2, draws a card and reveals 1, which could reveal Shark. So then you draw 3 cards. So then the end of the next turn, you unreveal the armor and you reveal Shark, drawing 2 cards. So then the next turn, you unreveal Shark and re-reveal armor, revealing the Shark, and draw 3 cards. So like, what if we just got to draw extra cards that consistently for free? So I was hoping that they were going to combo ban Living Armor and Shark, and they instead just full banned Shark. But I'm like, yeah, okay.
That draw effect is fucking gone, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that's just
gone.
Now, they did say that Shark is going to get a rework. Okay. Whatever. It's fine with me. Like, you can rework it.
Prediction. Instead of draw a card, it's gonna be 4C2. I don't know what it's gonna be.
You know what? I would be okay with that. I would be okay with, because it happens before draw for your turn, make it a 4C2. I'm fine with that. Give Ainz more card selection, not card advantage. So it's fine. Ainz just became a free generic draw engine. Yeah, it was just Ainz is a library all over again. Yeah,
literally the exact same
exactly.
Thing.
It's
hilarious.
So bad. Moonstone plus K3. So like something happening to Shark made sense. I was expecting a combo ban. This is just a hard ban for reworking protocol. I'm down with it. It's fine.
I don't know.
It's good.
Is the deck getting reworking protocol or not?
Not really sure what they were thinking when they made armor, that they were going to do something to Shark. Like, I'm thoroughly convinced that, like, when they designed armor, they were like, so we're getting rid of Shark, right?
Shark will expel the bottom 2 of your deck. That's funny.
Because Shatalkin. That's funny. That's funny.
No, but it's not a
it's
shark,
depths.
it's a beast. You guys
she's
are
a beast.
wrong.
Yeah, it's a beast. So next up we have Water Spirit of the Lamp and Electro Shooting Star of Fire. These both got banned and immediately put on reworking protocol. I think these are everyone was walking into this list wondering what hits were going to happen to Lehen. And there was the question of, does the generic win con that is Electra need to be somehow tweaked or gotten rid of? And it was a hot button topic. Some people were very anti, some people were very for, like, for sure. The company has very clearly decided that they wanted to get it out of the format for now. Water Spirit of the Lamp, I think, is also a very fair thing to hit right now. They're both getting rework protocoled. I think that there are probably some very easy things that you can do to Electro Shooting Star of Fire. I think you could prevent her. I think you could change her board wipe to not hit face. And, like, she's honestly probably fine there, right?
No. There's a very clean fix to Electro
I'm
action
listening.
that I've just realized. You can keep the text exactly as is, but there's a condition on the bottom that says you can only play this card if your name is Steven Jeswine.
Oh, sure. That will solve the problem. Yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty sure that just solves the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Only if they ban Steven Jeswine on the same ban list.
Mamu TCG Lab, what was Spirit of the Lamp doing? I was confused. It was a free quick cast 9/9 body in Lehen. So, like, Lehen would just reveal this off of Explorers, and then they would have these free, oops, I got free value on a 9/9 flyer, kill you. Like, it was just free potential aggro advantage for a deck that is naturally hard controlled, and so they could just leave up all of their will for just interaction and then just beat you down with free 9/9s. So that's why.
Yeah, I found Spirit broken when I was playing, like, literally, wow.
Yeah.
Lost your name already, Celesta.
Right.
Like, I literally played this card in, like, an aggro list, and this card combined with, like, this is like New Frontiers era and, like, old cluster, where you just play an attack stance and then you just swing in for, like, 4,500 easily. Cards
Robert Green brings up an interesting point here. You like the hits, but the reasoning behind it in the article. This has been, I would agree, one of the biggest misses, I think, of I Spy when it comes to the release of the ban list article. Some of their reasonings make a lot of sense. Some of their reasonings do not. Like, the community knows why you're hitting this, but then your explanation of why you're hitting this doesn't really match what we all really know why you're hitting it, right? So this is another such case. There's nothing wrong with saying play something different. There was no reason to play a finisher other than Electra. That's a fair point, Pat. Like, there really was honestly no reason to play anything other than her. So, yeah. Still haven't freed Asuka. Feels bad. Agreed. I can agree on that. Arguably, both of these hits are also, weirdly, Lehen hits, because we would see Lehen using Kikis for, like, Sack Altar, like the free Kikis, and we'll talk about that in a minute, or, like, the free bodies from Water Spirit of the Lamp to just sack them all off and then get an Electra at instant speed, right? So these are both kind of like an obvious hit to Lehen and a smaller hit to Lehen.
Rob Strong, once per turn or Spirit should be main timing, or even just have you pay one water instead of without paying its cost.
Yeah, so it actually costs you. Yeah, like there's very easy tweaks. There's very easy tweaks that you can do for it.
It's almost as if the less text a card has on it, the easier it is to fix it on the reworking protocol.
Next up we have Life Zapper, Solarized Statue, and Life Zapper Chrono Gear. These are hit purely because they are the only of the token generators that produce 2 tokens instead of 1, which that seems like it's not a lot, but it makes 100% sense because they're the only tokens that can banish themselves for free and do immediate extra burn damage. So the fact that it would always generate 2 meant that it was just, like, infinitely more value than any of the other token generators. So, and they also had, like, several combo bands with them already too, so, like, they're just fully axed and they're going to be retooled. Great, I'm fine with it.
Cool. Put it to 1 code token, I guess. I don't know.
I literally think you could just put it to 1 token and they're both fine. Like, I think it's totally fine.
Yes.
Like
lightly overtuned. Oops.
yeah. Kiki's, I think I got to spoil. I think I was the one who got to spoil these, and when I read them, I was like, "Why does this one produce 2 and the others only produce 1?" Like, this is just raw value. To me, with a ban list and how normally tell us more than that, as play something different feels more like another game. Kafka. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. Next up, we got Kiki plus Lehen, another really big Lehen hit.
Hooray.
My Kiki, no.
Sure. Sure. I get it. It's insanely good. This also takes like other alter outs, makes it significantly harder for Lehen, and so I'm okay with taking that option off the table for her. Like, make her play to her judgment. Make her flip. Make her play Wise Dragons. Like, make her play these other cool, like, big payoffs for treasures that aren't just, oops, I got free value and put more bodies on board than you. Like, it's fine.
I'm a control deck. How do you control? Board.
Yeah. What if I made a free board and had spot removal? Wait, no, that's wait, no,
tasty.
wait, no.
Wait, no, hold on, wait. Hold up.
Gruus Ballista plus Ambushing Scorpion. This combo ban makes sense to me because they didn't change Ambushing. Ambushing Scorpion is the only card that didn't have its like stone ramp effect changed to not allow you to get other stones out of it. And arguably, as someone who played against Moonstart Gruus Ballista, I honestly think once that deck was known, I honestly believe that the only way that deck was ever actually being successful was purely because of Ambushing Scorpion.
No, Kiki, no.
Like, I do not think that just playing Red Wine and Breads like was enough for that deck, especially in an era with Mask. Like, you needed Ambushing Scorpion to like have a chance. Like, and so and that deck was pretty predominantly strong. So I mean, I don't necessarily know if this ban was needed, but I see why they did it, because they didn't make any changes to Ambushing Scorpion. And putting a 2-drop 7/7 quick cast body in that also says, oops, ramp a stone permanently, maybe a little too much. Maybe.
Oops.
Just maybe.
Next up, we have Graveyard Keeper of the Demonic World and Kriya Wooden Reborn. For those of you who don't know, and apparently this might be something related to the CR, this creates an infinite that cannot be interrupted. Where
That's why we have the combo list.
Because it gives overgrowth. It would give like tokens overgrowth. And then Graveyard Keeper would get another token or get another +1/+1 counter when a token would enter the field, which would then trigger it to make another token, which would then have overgrowth, which would then give it a +1/+1 counter, which would then trigger it to make another token, and it would loop forever.
It's mandatory effect.
Because it's a mandatory effect.
Yeah.
So they stopped that before it was a thing, which is the perfect example of the combination ban list usage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And now the one that everyone's ticked about. Shatalkin combo ban with both Fishing Spot and Sea Monster Bioluminescent Eggs. It has been 2 years, boys. Let's pour one out for bans in the same set before the set release. Last time that happened was with Typhon, and now here we are. We're back.
I feel like it happens like every other set, man.
It does not. Not 2 cards within the same set. The last time this has happened on release was like, let me clarify, happened on release with cards from the new set, right? The last time that happened was Typhon. So, I don't really. I'm at a point where like I feel like this one was just predominantly too soon. Like I'd be like, don't get me wrong. She can produce an insane amount of value with Shatalkin having Untouchable and Barrier and getting to set up her initial mulligans to be whatever she wants at the bottom of her deck. I do think there's a world where you let this ride for 3 months and then visit it, but say la vie.
Joe Cole, and you assume that there's any internal testing.
So I'm gonna. So here, hold on. I, I'm gonna hold my tongue. I'm gonna call out that comment specifically.
Perfect.
I have
Don't mind me.
seen that happen.
Very.
I have seen that comment come up more and
Jeez.
more lately, or like brought up into conversations. I'm honestly kind of tired of it. Like, I don't get heated about stuff. This is like weirdly starting to get annoying to me that this keeps getting mentioned. I think that there is testing going on. I do not like the question I have is not that there's no testing. It's like, how much are we trying to break shit? Because that's where I am curious about, like, the intensity of the breaking sessions that are necessarily happening. I do not think, when you have people like Alejandro and like, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. We are guesstimating. And honestly, at this point, it's starting to get really fucking rude. Like, to just say, oh, there's no smart of you to think there's testing at all. Like, we don't know. We truly don't. And so, quite honestly, I'm done with that comment. I don't normally get heated, and Mike, I care about you immensely, but I'm really tired of it. Like,
that's understandable.
It feels really rude about a game that we all enjoy. They might not test to the intense degree that we all do, and they might also not have a true tried and true breaker on their team. That might be a thing, but again, we don't know. And so these constant jabs about, like, bold of you to assume is like, who does that help other than to insult the company of the game that we all like? It doesn't. Does it make you feel better about the fact that this has been hit? No.
No, this is still going to be like, this is still shit. Like, this is still shit to look at this. But, like, no, I totally get that.
Right.
And I do agree. I think, like, the testers that they have are probably making sure that the gameplay feels good from just, like, a casual player's perspective. Like, they're probably trying to make sure that everything works and everything is, like, just feels good in your hands. They're not going to be like, well, if I combine with this card from 8 years ago, and then suddenly it does a bajillion things.
But this is a great example. Like, this is frustrating, right? The Shatalkin, like, in set, in engine, from same ruler, being combo banned. I get that that's frustrating. 100% I get it. We don't know what the testing sessions were like. We don't know what the types of decks they built with the core engine pieces were like. We don't know what the matchups were like when they were trying stuff, right? We don't know how optimized they were trying to be when designing the set from a competitive mindset about exactly how far you could take this card to its reasonable limit when they were first designing it. And then maybe when it was too late for the design team to change, that's when a breaker caught it. And so then they had enough time to tweak it. Now, maybe they did, and it's a shortfall, and that's a fair critique that this has led to this, and that's frustrating and disappointing. But we literally don't know. And so I'm not saying don't be irritated by this. I'm saying don't be fucking rude. Like, that's my piece. And I don't get heated very often, but like that for sure. It's really starting to irk me how much that gets said. And I don't know. It's my podcast and I can speak out and stake my flag when I want to.
Agreed. That's why you bring me on too, 100%. So you can stake your flag when you need to. Because I'm playing devil's advocate earpiece of the community.
I understand. So Roderick, it's like Psycheco. I am, again, not saying don't give critique about this. Like, this is unfortunate this happened, and I think that I hope it is a lesson for them that they need to tweak it. 100%. What I am specifically calling out is the, like, sarcastic, off-the-cuff, bold of you to assume there's a design team or internal testing. Like, that level of, like, loud mouthing, that's what I'm calling out specifically. Not that critiques are being given. Yep. I'm calling out the frankly disrespectful and rude claims that they're just click it and ship it, not being mindful. Like, that's the level of like
shit posters.
Yeah, exactly. critique.
Which
Fair
Roderick,
critique here.
notably, you are
Not you. Not you. I would agree,
No, definitely
Roderick. You
not.
are not.
Roderick, notably, not a shit talker. Thank you.
Right. Like you said, there's testing internally, there's just not enough of it. Fair enough. A breaker didn't get their hands on this until much later. It's fair that something slipped through the cracks on this one. Great. I'm tired of the disrespect with like, well, they don't internally test at all. Like, you don't know. Stop. Doesn't help anybody.
Like, well, we do know they internally test, and we do know that they try and like balance the game, and they want it to feel good. They talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
So stop.
It just feels needlessly disrespectful. So, anywhoozle, good conversation. This is disappointing. This is sad. I will say that like there is a clear dyad with this combo ban now that you take Shatalkin and put it into. Honestly, you can put Shatalkin in Lehen, which I think is very interesting. You can also put Shatalkin into. You can strangely put Shatalkin into Helen. Probably as well. Like anything that like wants to know kind of what its bottom card of its deck is, you can do that with, which I think is very interesting, right? Because like Helen wants to reveal the bottom card of the deck and have it be what she wants. So like there is world for it. But like in Ruchil, you can play Shatalkin probably for like Olympians. Like you probably use Shatalkin for like Ruchil Olympians, and then more core Ruchil you use the other two instead. So like there is a home for all of these cards. It is unfortunate that this is another thing that kind of fell through the cracks, but we shall see what happens.
Something I'm very curious about is
go for it, Mike.
Oh, no, something I was just curious about is like I always kind of look at this ban list and I'm like, there's a part of me that thinks, what if New Frontier still existed? Do we think that these three would have been combo banned? I think that's
probably.
I mean, probably, yeah. But like, I'm just like,
if we were in New Frontiers, we wouldn't have cards like Hellfire. Which is like one of the best ways to answer Shatalkin, so it doesn't just get to go off for free king. We also wouldn't have cards like Suya, and we would very quickly lose. Like we would lose a lot of stuff that would be able to mess with this. So yeah, probably.
Interesting, very interesting. Because I know I've been hearing a lot of like mouthpiece stuff on the global page about like how like Ruchil Olympians is like the next like coming of the end of the game and whatever, and it's just made me curious. I understand that it's like all baseless and dumb, but like I also am just like, what if we just had New Frontiers again? Like, what would that meta look like? I'm always curious.
Okay, so that's the end of the combo bans. We have all of the things that were re-released. It resulted in the removal of quite a bit of things. I gotta pull up the exact list of things that were removed from the combo ban list. So 1 second. Hold on, I can find it. There's a post.
Yeah.
I just gotta find it.
It's the ban list, but it's at the top.
Is all the things that were brought off?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, man, like Mage Side bringing up the old wounds of the official simulator. Man, that conversation going back.
Here it is. Okay, so
that was rough.
Desktop capture. I'll do this again because we are gonna still have to go in through here. So, okay, so no longer combination bans. Things that were taken off either directly or indirectly because of reworking protocol erratas, which we'll talk about too. Fault Gold plus Little Maria, Duplication Mirror from Trials, Null Magic Stone and Zhuge Liang, Layla Maiden of the Swamps and Child of the Ethereal Moon. Swamp of Spirit of Calmness and Felching Shooting Star of Water. Almerius and Moonstart. They're both perma banned now. So like Artillerist and Raging Messiah. Feats, a one that has nothing. So here's the one that's on the list that has absolutely nothing to do with an errata or a rework in any way, shape, or form is Featsing and Felching. You just get that back. Addition counting Featsing is now unbanned with Felching. You just get that. That's just for you. Which I think is nice. Guinevere, Space-Time Watcher plus Dexia's Advice, Sacred Burial and Aspiring Diva, Iga, Village of Assassins, and Rocket Dive. Quick, cast, rocket dive. Let's go. Hides back on the menu, boys. Little Maria, Archaic Legacy, and Gate of Refarth. So yeah, so those are the things that are off the ban list, and we're going to talk about exactly why, because we're going to talk about the exact erratas here. I just got to pull up the page. There's my Google. They go through the exact erratas list for stuff. You might notice that they they did the errata that I thought they could do with this card, which is add 2 letters to its name. They just added the letters IR to the draw phase. So now it says their draw phase. So now it doesn't go infinite. Hooray. White Sparkling Apple is a clarifying question. Riula is a clarifying piece so that now she works exactly like we all thought. She can rest down phobia entities that your opponent controls as part of her ability.
Crazy.
If you were worried about not having a 0-6 sag,
yeah, now you don't have to worry about that.
Fine.
It's fine. It's supposed to be 6H, as we all expected.
I didn't even notice it.
So Artillerist of Faith now can only hit resonators and only draws a card if you discarded a card. Which is why Artillerist of Faith plus Raging Messiah doesn't matter at all. There you go. Red Wine and Bread. Red Wine and Bread, like we said before, has the change so that you can't put in any other magic stones for the rest of the turn. Zhuge Liang only burns you on the effect of a fire effect, which is why Null Magic Stone doesn't let you produce extra will now, because it's a void stone. It doesn't have a fire effect, right? Although, interestingly enough, if you play Painter Gears, if you play the new Painter, and you call fire, and you have a Null Magic Stone.
Stop! Wait! Doesn't
You've done it?
Am I stupid? Doesn't Moonshade make you pay life, not deal damage to you?
Correct.
Or am I stupid?
Correct. Null Magic Stone. Null Magic Stone.
No! Oh my god!
Null Magic Stone.
The one that deals you 200 damage to produce red.
Yeah. But because voids, but because stones typically don't have an attribute.
Right, but Painter Gears.
But the new
Jeremy's doing war crimes again.
But the new Painter, but the new 2-drop Painter resonator can just call fire. And although I think, does she not give it to Magic Stones? She might not give it to Magic Stones. Hold on, I gotta look it back up real quick. Paul, look it up real quick for me. She might not give it to Magic Stones.
I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah.
Paul, do my dirty work. Make sure my war crimes are legit.
Aspiring Diva now only works with Music Chance, which is why she no longer works with Sacred Burial, so that's fine. Ethereal Moon, you have to specifically banish an ethereal resonator. It's not any resonator now, so you can't even sack Layla to it anyway, which is fine.
Okay, hot take here.
That's fair.
Child Layla would not be that good if it was in the game right now.
Does it not affect stones? Doesn't affect stones.
It doesn't affect stones.
Hey, you know what? They were thinking ahead. So, Child of the Ethereal Moon no longer has to banish an ethereal resonator, so no longer works with Layla. I do want to say also, just real quick, I honestly think Reinhardt with Electra out of the meta is a contender.
Yeah.
Like, he can just be like,
no.
Listen, blue got a lot of cool cards. You have cards like Vacus. You have, like, I don't know. I think that there's something there. When you don't have to worry about Electra, preventing 1,200 damage from any source of damage your opponent controls feels pretty good. Duplication Mirror now only clones stuff when you cast it, so that's why it no longer is combo banned with Kaguya, because if you cheated in off of Trials, good for you. You have a 4-drop edition that does nothing. Good job. We've talked about Guinevere Spacetime Knight and how she's completely fundamentally a different card, which is why she's not combo banned with Dexia's advice anymore.
What's changed with her?
So previously, again, as a reminder, what she previously said was during your turn, your opponent pays 1 to play activate and spells. If this card is a machine, your opponent pays 3 more instead, because
and
you would
just
because
totally
because you would order her and she would become a machine if you're playing as Deus Ex Machina. And now she specifically is the tax effect of mask on a body.
Which I kind of like. I kind of like that a little better. I'm not going to lie.
It does make her revolution significantly worse because it says you may...
If you catch me if you catch me ordering a ruler at any time in my entire life, I'm dead. I will never touch an ordered ruler in my entire life.
Fair enough.
Put that on my gravestone.
So this one does feel like it could have been like just ban Guinevere and make a Guinevere 2, as opposed to like rework the old Guinevere. I get why people are upset about this one. This just feels like the biggest miss of the whole group to me, but that's why it's been changed, right? Little Maria Archaic Legacy has been changed to now a hard once per turn because it's a named ability and you can only perform that named ability hard once per turn, which honestly, now that it's like people were wondering, like, even with that change, are they going to keep it combo banned with Bahamut and Gates? I honestly think it's kind of a neat tool for those decks to like try to still use it, where it's just like the incidental once per turn free potential search that comes with playing Bahamut is kind of neat, especially since you can't just like play Artillerist and like get a free Artillerist while you're searching Yamada and then throw it at your opponent for 40. Like that no longer abuse engine works, and so it is a new way to experiment with Little Maria in a way that's not inherently broken. A hard once per turn, because keep in mind it's not once per Little Maria per legacy boost. It's one legacy boost per turn. Even if you somehow like kill your Little Maria, play another one, and then try to search again, like you don't get it. So Spirit of Calmness now specifically it can only do the draw a card once per turn.
Good.
So you can't infinitely cycle there.
Wow. Oh my god. Eris Fry, I guess. I don't know.
Can I make a temporally inconsistent comment?
Yeah.
Aspiring Diva didn't deserve it.
Paul, every mermaid that has ever been anywhere near the ban list has 100% deserved it, and you're part of the problem.
No comment.
I don't top shit.
Okay, she fine. It's Patrick's problem.
It's Patrick's fault.
Patrick's the one who did it.
Eternal Assaulted Archipelago has now been changed, so it has the same kind of a thing where if you cheated a stone off of it, you can't get another one until the end of the turn. It's weirdly that it's only usable during a main phase. Like, that's weird. But again, it's probably to try to put it in, like, I don't think it necessarily needed to be main phase only. I don't know, especially since it comes into it. Well, it does come into play recovered, so maybe that's why it has to be main phase only, so you don't like incidentally like goof out your opponent by like creating a stone out of nowhere during their turn. Maybe. I'm not necessarily sure it needed to be main timing only, but there it is. Rustin was also sad for the DV change. Sacred Burial no longer cantrips.
Good. Sure,
Fine.
Man. Okay.
Wind Servant of Ragnarok now requires you to have stones before you get any real value out of it. It's not pay 1, produce 3.
No! Minha will be devastated. Min, I'm so sorry.
It's fine. He's playing Ragnarok over in ABC. It's fine.
That's valid.
Echidna we're fine. Typhon we've talked about before. Foot Kakia now only draws once per turn, not once every time you put a moon into the field.
I hate Foot Kaguya so much. I'm so glad she's dead.
Iga Village of the Assassins now is a named ability that you can only perform once per turn and costs 1 will. So there's that to do, which is fine. Killua we already talked about. Sigurd we already talked about. Zombie we already talked about. Ainz, Ragnarok. Recon Gears now can only reveal a non-wind, which is very interesting because so I get why they did it. So here's the thing. I get why they did it because they left Squirrel plus Recon Gears on the ban list. That's still there on the combo list. They changed this text so that you can't reveal Drywing.
I want to cry, dude.
Because Drywing is a wind gears. And so not only would you get to recover a stone, but you would also lock your... Is he not a gears? I'm pretty sure... Is he not?
No, I think he's before years. I think he's machine.
He's a dragon comma machine.
Oh, never mind then. I don't know why they said non-wind if they were releasing it on the ban list.
Typhon was machines, Eins was gears. Come on. Even I know that. Now to play this game, man.
I don't know why.
I think maybe they're telegraphing that there's a possibility that we might get more gears in the future.
Probably.
They also might be tooling with the idea of maybe releasing that combo ban in the
future. No. Very importantly, this card was made because they said this is the quintessential Force Will card. It says non-wind because we want to make sure that wind is never good ever again in its history.
Future-proof change? Yeah, potentially. And then their other reworks were the box topper reprints that we've already said, but there was one further change, specifically green Jade Amulet. Now, if you guys know, if you talked about our prediction video, I talked about how I wanted something done to green Jade Amulet, specifically combo banning it with Misty Dragon statue, because of the abuse that it predicts. The errata solves my problem with this card. So now, instead of anybody being able to ramp with this card, it only ramps if you're Alex or Throm. So the card that is the quintessential identity of this card is the only one who gets to ramp with it.
And if you control exactly one J/ruler, so only Alex.
Specifically Alex. Yeah. So...
No way.
I'm fine with this change, wholeheartedly. I think it's fine. I'm glad with it, for sure. It does scrap a video that I had recorded with Paul, because I can't post it, because it relies on the previous version of this card's text, and so as such, that feature match will never see the light of day, and neither will that deck, but, it's fine. It's fine.
Listen anyway.
Minha, I feel like I may have broken Rag again next competitive season. So, I mean, go for it, Min. You rock it, man. If there was ever someone who's going to try to break Rag, it's you. There's a reason. He's now a 4/4 body, recover 3 stones. Once you get to 3 stones, though, that's the biggest piece. You have to get to 3 stones before you get any, real meaningful value out of it. And I'm okay with that.
It's easy. Yeah.
It's Ragnarok. Sure. Sure. You have ramp. You play ramp. I mean, all of that makes sense for what Ragnarok's trying to do. You go right ahead, buddy. Thumbs up for Minha trying to break Ragnarok. You're gonna end up on that ban list, a combo band with Ragnarok and all singleton rulers eventually, buddy. We're cheering for you.
If Minha is playing singleton ruler, you have lost the game.
Give me the list and I'll pilot it to another FowFest win, except for the fact that that's 2 formats from now.
No, it's fine. They'll do it anyway.
FowFest format will be post Masterpiece and post Trinity 1. Or Trinity 4.
FowFest is going to be only Go TK.
This is the downside, Steven. You have to somehow find value in 3 more sets, or not, but you get to deal with 3 more sets. That's the downside.
Oh, wait, also, hang on. One sec. Excuse me, pardon me.
While you're doing
happy birthday, Stephen Holsheiser.
Yeah, also happy birthday, Holsheiser. So I do want to say, Paul, you brought up a very, people specifically, Stephen Holsheiser, love to call me out about, my X out of 10 ratings for ban lists. And I read the ban list and I read the erratas and I was like, with the errata to Jade Amulet, I put this list as a 7 out of 10. And Paul and, Holsheiser was like, stop it with these 7 out of 10s, Jeremy. And I'm like, that's fine. You can disagree with my opinion. I think all things considered 7 out of 10. Execution wise, communication wise, I think is the biggest hurdle of what would prevent this from being higher. And then not hitting, it's the reason why I take 3 points off, right, is communication about the ABC changes in advance, the Shatalkin hits, and no mask hit. Those are my 3 points of why it's not a 10 out of 10. If either of those things had happened, I would put it forward. I will say, Paul, you gave an excellent analysis in our group chat that I want to bring up here, which ironically brings
I just happen to have it.
Do you have it right here?
I have it right here.
So interestingly enough, if you do the math on Paul's average of what the score is, by the way, when you average it out and you do the math of what does that mean percentage wise for total possible score first versus gets, it comes out to an interesting number, which we'll get to in a second. So Paul, why don't you give us the breakdown of how you analyze this ban list?
Sure. So I did a 10-point system for each different part of the ban list. So 1 to 10 for hard bans, 1 to 10 for reworking protocols, 1 out of 10 for combo bans and unbans, and any additional combo bans. So normally this would be out of 50, but instead it's out of 40 because there were not like any meaningful unbans that I thought like they were coming off. We knew, right?
Right.
So for hard bans, I've decided to deduct another point away just because the more I think about how I wanted mass to be present on there and didn't see it.
So it's a 6 out of 10? You put a 6?
I'd say it's a 6 or a 7 out of 10 for me. I'm not upset they got rid of Zeus Alice. It kind of makes sense that they just want to open things up. Dinner time was also a weird kind of like sure. Like just get 3 mana for a Resonator. Okay, that's a problem, I guess. Like it's never showed up, but okay. And then just not seeing Leon outright banned. Like I'm personally on the train where she's cracked as crap and she just probably could go. They did enough though that I'm like maybe I could just overlook it and maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine. But I'd still give it like a 7 out of 10 because Mask was not hit. All the reworking protocol bans, 10 out of 10. I think all of them, wanting to make those cards more balanced, I think it's a good idea. I have no comments on those at all.
Except for
Diva. It's gonna be small tweaks. Oh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Okay, sure, go for it.
We're gonna get there. That's a reworking protocol ban. So like if it was banned to be put on the reworking protocol.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so not Diva. So like Almirius and Mushdark, I put on the reworking protocol. Combination bans. This was my low score. This was a 6 out of 10. I was one of the people who absolutely hated to see cards from this set get banned, or get banned together, especially when we have absolutely no data up front to show that this was even going to be an issue. Like Jeremy and I even tested this deck before, pre-combo bans, and he was able to take this thing apart, no problem. Like power was a concern, threats were a concern, but threats were easy to manage for him in his list. So I don't know. I feel like I've got some like hard evidence readings why this is not super, super, super great. Yeah, almost all of it was just the Rukeel hits. That felt really, really bad to me. Everything else felt fine. I was totally fine with that. Unbans, I didn't give a score. All of them were expected. Combo bans, 7 out of 10. I was a little anxious about seeing Little Maria being released at the time. I probably am more okay with it now. And everything else is pretty great. Though, yeah, in the Falchion re-release was really good to see. Falchion and Feetsing getting re-released. Yeah. Ega and Rocket Dive being back. All of that's really, really cool.
Rip Asuka. I would have wanted to see Asuka come back, but
yeah, that would have also been good. Good ruler. Overall, I would say the scores came out to around 29-30 out of 40. But again, normally
which is about a 70% out of 100, which is like
a C.
Which is like a 7 out of 10. Hey-oh! Wow. Hey-oh! We're calling it right there, boys. Let's go! 7 out of 10 list confirmed.
7 out of 10, which for me says fine, but why?
Yeah.
Like that's what a 7 out of 10 translates for me in this case. Mm-hmm. There's an argument where you could just say there's a 0 out of 10 because there were no other unbans besides the stuff that was obvious, but I mean, feasting.
Like I will admit that I did not see feasting Falchion coming. Like that took me by surprise and was kind of cool to see come unhit. But I guess you're talking about like in terms of like straight 1 card unbans. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like things that besides the things that were like obviously coming off because they were on the reworking protocol. Like if they said, "Hey, we're gonna release arbitrary thing,"
sure.
We're going to release Otherworld Dreams, right? Sure. I would have been able to have an opinion. but everything else was reworking protocol, and we knew it was coming, and so we had a lot more time to think about it. It didn't. I don't think it's really going to shake up the meta too much.
Yeah.
But something like, hey, we're gonna bring back Melfi Traveling Sorceress. Okay, let's chat.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Then you would get a score. So this could be like a 30 out of 50 if you wanted to look at it that way and interpret it that way. Otherwise,
that's a 60, Jeremy.
Well, he did just mention that last 10 points was an NA, not applicable, so that does adjust your total score.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's gonna be like a 6 to 7 out of 10.
Yeah, which I think is fine. You know, I think coming from games that we've played before and coming from historical when they were like previous ban lists that Force of Will has tried to do way back in the past, like we've had ban lists that have been like 2 out of 10s, and before we played Force of Will, for sure, we had ban lists that were just like straight absolutely made no sense, did not solve the problem, made the problem cards even worse. Like, we've had that experience too. I'm of this mindset that, like, obviously I would prefer ban lists that are 8 out of 10s or better, but as long as we're consistently hitting like 7 out of 10s and up, I'm like, man, that's moving in the right direction. Like, I still see that moving in the right direction, and I find myself like more positives than negatives, and anytime I walk away from a ban list with more positives than negatives, I'm like, yep, okay, cool. Like, ready to get back into brewing at this point. Mike.
Hi.
Any closing thoughts?
So.
That's why I bring you on. That's why I pay you the big bucks.
You all know my opinions.
For his internet to break right as I'm calling him out to have this kind of conversation. That's why.
I really do get paid the screen time. Hold on. I think we're okay. Jimmy, are we okay? Am I okay?
Jake is too hot. It's overriding the CPU. It's going to start things on fire.
Oh, shit. Jimmy, am I good?
No, you are not good. That's so funny. That's so. I do want to say one thing.
I'm sorry, chat. I'm closing chat.
Yeah, well, while Mike tries to get his computer in order, I do want to say, Joe, any update on the Magic Stone errors in ABC that we talked about? I'm like 99% sure that those are unfortunate, just missed typos. I don't think there's actually any changes to those. Thankfully, none of those things that you mentioned are meaningful at all in the context of the ABC starter decks. It is very strange, but because they weren't announced in like the ABC erratas or clarification pieces, like I'm thoroughly convinced that those are just like mistypes in terms of the formatting of those cards. So don't worry about it. Okay, Mike is back. Now, Mike, what is your
5G.
thoughts?
Yes. Okay, so you know my opinions on tag. I already expressed my opinions on tag.
Mhm.
Fuck tag. Should have been eroded instead of every single goddamn ruler that's ever had tag. Besides the point. That's fine. I'm still a massive opponent of the combination ban list. You all know that. But I do think
did you say massive opponent?
Opponent, yeah.
Opponent,
I'm not
okay.
a fan of the combination ban list at all. I think that if a card should be banned, if 2 cards are banned together, one of them is clearly the problem and should be banned entirely. That's my thought. I've had that thought for a long, long time.
Okay, that's fair.
Thinking
just of that opinion. But overall, again, I'll echo what Paul was saying. Like, obviously, having Shatalkin and the Shark cards banned from the same set, it feels shitty. And I know that a lot of like what people are saying is like echoing like the visceral kind of feeling that they're getting from it, which is why it's coming off as, you know, kind of rude and targeted. Like we already discussed this earlier. But like, as dumb as the way that they're going about it is, and the way that, you know, obviously it's like, haha, who's testing this in here? But like, it's coming from a point of like, people are frustrated, and I understand that. So I get it. So that part, I totally understand. This list is a 10 out of 10 for me though, because Zalus is banned, and this card has been on my shit list since fucking 2019, and it'll never not be on my shit list, and it's gone forever. Goodbye.
That's the next Deepwood video. Here's all the ways that Zeus Alice was a problem.
That that's literally like an hour-long video. I'm making PowerPoint presentations, Jeremy.
Get after
I don't
it.
have production quality.
Get after it, boyo.
just give us chapters in the description so I can skip around, right? Like,
Yeah,
I'll
like
give you the
podcast
script. You guys make it.
style. As far as erratas go, dear God, and because I don't say it enough, there's a lot of frickin' erratas in this
There's
game.
so many. There's already so much text on these cards. Why do I need to know changes to the text? Just ban them and be done with it. I'm sorry. I love certain cards being on the reworking protocol. Certain other ones do not belong there. I'm flat out. I'm
I
just
will
gonna
say
say
this.
that.
I will say this is an interesting point that I think has maybe like I would agree that an official errata resource is at this point in time needed. It started with the stuff that came out in the ABC list, so that's good. I will also say that at least according to what we have been told, it was kind of an off the cuff comment in the video / on the article, is that all of the cards that have been like updated text wise or kind of like reworked that were released on the ABC deck will also be in the normal rare slot of Masterpiece 2. So like one of the biggest complaints that people have had about erratas is like access to them, and I do think that they have done a pretty good job in terms of maintaining access with like making the box stoppers and stuff. This is, I think, the next logical step for such a big chunk of them to happen all at once to make them fill the normal slots of Lapis Cluster Masterpiece. Like, those cards are going to be literally everywhere. I have a brick, literally a, like, pre-release kit filled to the brim of just Masterpiece Collection normal rarity cards. I'm gonna be able to make sure that people have the right text. Like, I'm not worried about it. But no,
that is 100% the case. The distribution was the biggest concern before, and they are addressing that. And I just want to point that out. My issue right now is not with distribution. I'm glad they fixed that. I'm not mad that they are erratating cards at all. Sometimes that just happens. I am a little frustrated with the amount all at once.
That's fair.
And I get that there's like, I get it. There needs to be updates. Those are totally fine. There are some cards that are just like functionally worse. And the company then does not does the company then does not give us any other rationale like they would for the ban list, right? So they're like, hey, for aspiring diva, we wanted to make sure that Veer gets more support when we release more support with her, and we wanted to make this card more balanced because of it. Sure, but just give us that.
Yeah,
right,
for sure. All in all, I'm excited to jump. I'm excited to jump.
I'm sure you're wondering why I put the tinfoil hat on.
Was it tinfoil hat? I thought it was you trying to make fun of my hair by suddenly putting something more on your head to be like more hair on your head because you were copying me. But go off.
I was like, oh my god, Mike.
No, this is tinfoil, but it's like not. But anyway, my tinfoil hat theory. I've heard a lot of people say a lot of the choices the FAO's making remind them of a lot of decisions that Konami makes in terms of erratas, in terms of balance decisions, in terms of cards being very strong within their own kind of sphere and within their own set. I think the team that is behind the design of current forcible sets is very much in the mindset of this can be a little bit strong and we'll let it happen. But then whoever's running the ban list side of things is saying, no, this is too strong. We have to curb it, which is why we're seeing these combo ban lists from the same set. I'm not saying that that's a real thing. Tinfoil hat,
tinfoil
again.
Hat.
Tinfoil hat. But you've heard it here first, folks. This is my thoughts.
There
and if
you
need an explanation as to why things happen like this, talk to your boy Mike, who doesn't know anything.
And on that note, I'm very excited to build like 18 decks in the next 3 months for the channel. Because there's a lot of really fun stuff to be playing with and goofing around and building. I will note, as a little bit of an announcement, again, starting next week, you have the opportunity to see 2 feature matches a week. One which will be commentated with overall editing and production quality, and the other which is the POV, like, experiential deck, which is where we are going to be showing all of the, like, rework protocol rulers decks. Like, that's where that footage will be, and that will be exclusive to members to watch those matches. So join the channel as a member.
Jeremy Money.
You get access to those matches, those POV style experiences. the deck profiles will always be public on them. Like, we will make a post about the deck profile that we used and our kind of like thoughts, having now played the reworking protocol ruler. But watching us play it, that will be locked to members only. So that's something we're doing. Hope you all consider supporting us. Again, it's minimum $2 a month, and you get all kinds of cool stuff, and it goes a long way to help the channel do some pretty cool stuff. So new cool project, lots of new rulers to explore in this format. It's going to be exciting. Things can always be better, but they could certainly always be worse. And we're not in that spot where it's very worse. Tupin, thank you. Speaking of, thank you for joining as a student. Enjoy those future matches.
My chat's not open because my internet's fucked.
Yeah.
Ah.
And on that note, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined as always by the lovely Paul Reisman.
These are the teardrops for aspiring diva on my guitar.
And the handsome Mike Rance.
POV, you're Jeremy dealing with community backlash.
Class dismissed. Have a good night, everybody.